Welcome to Backbone Unlimited. My name is Matt Hartsky. In this episode, we're talking about the habit that causes most elk hunters to fail every season. And it's probably not what a lot of hunters think either. It's not always being out of shape. It's not always calling too much. It's not always hunting bad country. The habit is this: hunters keep making decisions based on what they wanted the hunt to be instead of what the mountain is showing them right now. They get attached to a plan, a drainage, a bugle, a wallow, a rub line, or a place they saw elk last year, and they keep forcing it after the evidence has changed. Elk hunting is not just about effort. Effort absolutely matters, but effort without adjustment becomes wasted energy. The elk hunters who become consistent are not the ones who guess perfectly before the hunt starts. They're the ones who keep updating the hunt as the mountain gives them new information. If you're not familiar with who I am, I've been hunting and guiding Western big game for over 34 years, and I've been a professional strength conditioning and nutrition coach for more than 30 years, and I'm here to help you become a more successful and consistent elk hunter. In the first place, this habit shows up is in the way hunters build assumptions before they ever step out of the truck. A map can be helpful. E-scouting matters. Old sign matters. Past experience matters. But none of that is the same as current truth. Hunter looks at a basin and says, elk should be here. He finds a bench and says, that looks like a bedding area. He sees a wallow and says, this has to be good. But elk don't live inside your assumptions. They're reacting to pressure, wind, thermals, feed, cows, water, security, and human movement. A good plan only gives you a starting point. A bad plan becomes a cage. You have to be willing to walk into elk country with confidence, but not arrogance. The plan gets you into the game. The evidence tells you how to play it once you're there. That's where a lot of elk hunters get trapped, because once they invest effort into a place, they start defending it emotionally. They hiked 3 miles into that drainage. They crossed deadfall. They climbed 1,500 feet. They marked that spot all summer. So when it goes quiet, they don't want to admit that the area might not be right today. They keep sitting there, calling there, glassing there, and returning there because leaving feels like admitting the plan failed. But elk hunting doesn't care how badly you wanted a spot to produce. The question is not, did I work hard to get here? The question is this location still giving me reasons to stay? Because if it's not, it doesn't matter how hard you work, you want to kill elk, right? So you've got to adapt. Fresh sign, good wind, current movement, safe approaches, and logical elk behavior, those are good reasons to stay. Hope by itself is not. Effort earns you an opportunity only when it's connected to good decisions. The better habit here is to treat the mountain like it's updating you all day long. The wind shifts, the thermals change, boot tracks might appear, trucks show up at trailheads, elk go quiet, cows move to feed, a bull answers once and then shuts up, a shaded slope becomes more valuable as the temperature climbs, a north-facing pocket starts to make more sense than the open basin you plan to hunt. Those are not random details, those are updates. The problem is that a lot of elk hunters notice them, but they don't let those updates change their behavior. They say, that wind is getting sketchy, and they keep on going. They say there are fresh tracks from another hunter and still hunt the same route. They say that sign looks old and still build the day around it. The mountain's talking. Consistent elk hunters listen before the mistakes get expensive in terms of time wasted. One of the biggest ways hunters ignore that information is by overvaluing yesterday's sign. Elk sign is absolutely exciting. I get it. Rubs, tracks, beds, droppings, trails, and wallows all get your attention, especially when you've been grinding for hours without seeing elk. But sign is not automatically a green light. Old sign can keep you in the wrong place for days. Big rub from last year or last month doesn't tell you a bull is standing there this morning. A wallow that was active 2 weeks ago might not matter after pressure, weather, or feed changes. The question is not just, is there sign here? The question is, how fresh is it? Where is it located? And what does the terrain around it offer? And does today's wind let me hunt it? A little fresh sign in the right location can be worth more than a basin full of history. And this same habit shows up with calling, because a lot of elk hunters call based on what they want to happen instead of what the situation supports. They want a bugle, so they bugle like crazy. They want to create action, so they add more sound. But calling is not separate from the hunt. Calling is part of the decision system. It's just a tool. The setup, the wind, the pressure level, the terrain, the distance, the cover, elk behavior, and time of day all matter just as much. If a bull's already nervous, if he's been called to by 5 hunters this week, or if your position gives him the advantage, more calling can make things worse. But when the setup is right, the elk's behavior supports it, calling can be exactly what opens the door. So the question is not, should I call? The question is, does this moment right here deserve sound? When elk hunters don't know what the current moment is asking for, they often try to solve everything with movement. They hike more, they climb more, they drop into another drainage, they push deeper, they cross more country. And sometimes that can be the answer because you can't kill elk if you never get into elk country, right? But random movement can turn into a failure loop. Every step sends sense somewhere. Every ridge you cross exposes you to new wind problems. Every drainage you blow through can burn an opportunity you didn't know was there. Motion feels productive, but it's not always progress. The better question is, why am I moving? Am I moving because the evidence tells me elk are elsewhere, or because I'm just frustrated? Am I relocating with a purpose and a plan, or just trying to feel like I'm doing something? Hey, if you hunt public land elk and you're tired of grinding through random seasons, I built the Elk Hunting series of ebooks for you. Most hunters don't struggle because they lack effort. They struggle because they lack a system. And that's exactly why I built the Elk Hunting E-book Series as a complete progressive framework for Western elk hunters who are done guessing and ready to hunt with intention. Volume 1 is going to be Foundations and Reality. I reset your mindset and expose the assumptions that quietly wreck seasons. In Volume 2, Finding Elk and Understanding Pressure, you'll learn how elk actually move under pressure so you can anticipate instead of react. In Volume 3, Terrain, Wind, and Position, I break down how to use landscape and thermals to consistently create opportunities. In Volume 4, Calling, Silence, and Pressure, sound becomes a decision tool, not an impulse. In Volume 5, Bow Hunting Execution, we're talking about close range strategy so you can finish your encounters. And in Volume 6, Late Season and Post Rut, we're talking about how elk shift after the rut and how to adapt when others quit. This is a system built for consistency. This isn't theory, it's a structured system to help you find elk, read country, and make confident decisions every season. Buy each volume individually or bundle them all to save 50% off at backboneunlimited.com. But the opposite mistake is just as common because some elk hunters call stubbornness patience. They sit on a meadow long after the wind has quit making sense. They watch a wallow that has no fresh tracks. They stay in a drainage after pressure has obviously shifted elk somewhere else. They keep saying, I just need to be patient, when the real issue is that they don't want to make a new decision. Patience is powerful when you're in the right place for the right reason. It's not powerful when the facts have changed and you refuse to adjust. Strategic patience has evidence behind it. Passive waiting has hope behind it. If the wind is right, the sign is fresh, the terrain makes sense, and elk are likely to move through, absolutely, stay disciplined. But if the mountain keeps giving you reasons to change, you might want to listen to it. Pressure is also one of the biggest reasons the hunt changes, and it's also one of the most ignored. Public land elk are not just reacting to you, right? They're reacting to every truck door, every ATV, every boot track, every camp, every bugle tube, every road, and every scent stream moving through that country. That doesn't mean pressure makes elk impossible. It just means pressure changes the version of elk you're hunting. The easy places get checked off first. The obvious basins get looked at. The trailhead country gets touched. Elk start using cover, distance, terrain breaks, private edges, benches, shaded pockets, and places that give them a survival advantage. The elk hunter who fails keeps hunting elk like they haven't been disturbed. The hunter who adapts asks, where would elk go to avoid what hunters are doing right now? And no matter how good your adjustment is, wind and thermals really decide whether that decision is real. A perfect looking setup with bad wind is not perfect. A great bedding pocket with a careless approach is not an opportunity. A bugling bull below you doesn't mean much if your scent is about to drain into him. Elk country is vertical and scent doesn't move like it does on flat ground, right? Early morning thermals are often pulling downhill. As the day warms, they can begin rising. In the evening, cooling air often starts dropping again, but shade, Sun, storms, slope angle, drainages, saddles, timber, and terrain shape can all complicate all of that wind movement. And that's why you can't treat wind as an afterthought. The wind tells you how to approach, when to wait, where to set up, and when to back out before you damage the hunt. So the fix here is not to throw away your planning. The fix is to build a better decision system. Before you make the next move, ask yourself a few hard questions. What do I actually know? Not what do I hope? How fresh is the information I'm getting? What has changed since I made my plan? Where's my scent going now, and where is it going to go if the day keeps warming up or cooling off if a storm moves through? Where is pressure likely pushing elk? Where can elk feed, bed, travel, and stay secure and safe under today's exact conditions? And what move gives me the best chance without burning the country? That system right there is going to keep you from just chasing emotionally. It slows the hunt down without making you passive, and it gives your effort a target. You still have to work, you still have to climb, you still have to make decisions, but now those decisions are going to be connected and based on evidence. And that's the bigger point. Most elk hunters don't need another random trick. They need to replace the habit of forcing the hunt with the habit of reading the hunt. Elk hunting changes by the hour. Wind changes, pressure changes, elk behavior changes. Your original plan might still be right, but it might also become outdated before the day is half over. The difference between a frustrating season and a productive season is often the ability to admit what is happening and adjust before the opportunity disappears. Don't hunt the elk you hoped would be there. Hunt the elk that today's conditions are creating. Read the sign, respect the wind, watch the pressure. Let the mountain update your decisions. When you do that, you're going to stop guessing your way through the season and start hunting with the system. Now, if this episode made you realize you need a better elk plan this season, don't just watch another episode and hope it all comes together. Build the plan right now. If you want to study my full system on your own, start with my Elk Hunting E-book Series. If you want daily guidance, accountability, and a place to ask your questions as season gets closer, join Team Backbone. And if you want my eyes on your actual hunt plan before season, looking at your maps, terrain, access, pressure points, and your strategy, book an Elk Hunt Plan Audit with me and I'll get you squared away. The hunters who are ready in September are the ones who start tightening their plan right now. So go to backboneunlimited.com and choose the path that fits where you are right now. Thanks for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. I look forward to seeing you in the comments. Until next time, train harder, hunt smarter, and never settle.